Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is present, everyone. Thanks for joining for a little bit more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. Quick reminder, guys, I am donating $500 to the Aftermath Foundation when I hit 170,000 subscribers, and I'm getting closer every day. Doesn't matter if it's tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year. That is the pledge that I've made. So if you guys want to help my channel and you want to help the Aftermath Foundation, please consider hitting that subscribe button. All right, everyone, we are here today to talk about Shelley Miscavige and the coverage that missing Shelley Miscavige got in People magazine this week. It was just a couple days ago, I think. It says June 30th, so that was actually just yesterday. You know, it always tickles me when Scientology matters make it into the mainstream media like this. I mean, I guess I consider People magazine, even if it's just a website, to be mainstream media. I guess the irony is that these days, YouTube, which, you know, used to be the alternative media, or, you know, it's called new media, is pretty much becoming the mainstream media. But I still have that legacy bias towards major media platforms, and I bet David Miscavige does as well. I bet it bothers David Miscavige a lot more when People is talking about his missing wife than some YouTubers on the fringes of the internet are talking about his missing wife. So let's take a look. Let's see what People magazine had to say. Let's see what part of the Shelley Miscavige story interested people the most. Okay, so we have here, it is indeed People. It's even in the crime section. Wer is Shelley Miscavige? What to know about the Scientology leader's missing wife. Ist ein wunderschöner Tag heute, but it seems not for Shelley Miscavige. All right, that's as much German as I know. It says Shelley Miscavige, the wife of Scientology leader David Miscavige, hasn't been seen publicly since 2007. I really wish media would stop using this old, horrible photo of Shelley when we have this awesome, relative, much more recent, gorgeous photo that makes her seem like a real person instead of a relic from the early 90s. But anyway, all right, let's see what else they've got. The case of Shelley Miscavige has raised flags among the public and Hollywood elite alike. The wife of David Miscavige, the leader of the Church of Scientology, hasn't been seen in public since 2007. Shelley and David married in 1982 and rose together in the Scientology Church as members of an elite group called the Commodore's Messenger Organization. She was rumored to have played a large role in the church alongside David until 2006. Now, why in the hell would they say rumored? God, you know what? This is why no one likes the mainstream media anymore. It's just the laziest, shoddiest, weirdest stuff that they do. Okay, 6 years after Shelley's last public appearance, actress Leah Remini left the church in 2013 and immediately filed a missing persons report on behalf of Shelley with the LAPD. However, less than a month later, the LAPD announced they were not pursuing the case. Again, very inaccurate reporting, to be honest. Though the police have claimed that Shelley is safe, rumors about her whereabouts have continued to spread, and her public disappearance has become the subject of controversy. Remini has also continued to question what happened to her former friend. So where is Shelley Miscavige? Here's everything to know about her alleged disappearance over 15 years ago. Again, why are they saying alleged? Why? I mean, is she in public or is she not? Anyway. She was last seen in 2007, okay? The last time Shelley was seen in public was at her father's funeral in 2007. Pictures of her attending the function surfaced online. However, shortly after, she was never seen again. Well, interestingly enough, we now know that Mitch Brisker, who has left Scientology a couple years ago and has just recently been speaking out here. I'll change the view here real quick. Has recently started speaking out on a variety of YouTube channels. Mitch Brisker saw Shelley Miscavige. And Mitch Brisker is someone who had worked with Shelley, had worked extensively with David Miscavige, knows Shelley, hasn't just read articles about her. He knows her. He saw her, let's just say, at a Chipotle in Redlands, California around 2010. So that is actually a public sighting. People can be forgiven for not knowing about that recently divulged information. Also, something that is less commonly known, Shelley Miscavige's own family members, non-Sea Org family members, were actually still in regular touch with her until 2014. And the only reason Shelley dropped out of touch with those family members is because certain information that could only have been traced back to Shelley's family members had been sort of shared from person to person to person to blogger to journalist in such a way that made it seem that Shelley's own family members were talking to the press about her. And that is actually why Shelley Miscavige stopped speaking to her non-Sea Org family members at that time. Interesting, huh? All right, let's see what else we've got. The church denied her disappearance and claimed she was fine and was merely a private person. She's not a public figure, and we ask that her privacy be respected, a spokesperson, Scientology spokeswoman said in 2013. Mark Headley, a former Scientologist who has spoken critically of the church, told Vanity Fair in 2014 that Shelley was once a top aide for the religious group, but was in a bad position with the church around the time of the funeral. According to Headley, Shelley was stripped of her duties and carefully watched by a handler during her father's service. When another church member followed Shelley into the bathroom and asked her for help, Shelley allegedly said, "Listen to me, I effed up and I'm not going to be able to help you," Headley claimed. That's actually really interesting that a Scientologist who was at Shelley's father's funeral asked Shelley for help. I assume it wasn't help leaving Scientology. It must have been help with some Scientology related matter that they thought was being dealt with unjustly. And they were like, "Hey, I know. I'll walk up to the leader's wife at her father's funeral and ask her to help me with my bullshit." It's an interesting little detail. All right, let's keep going. Leah Remini started raising questions about Shelley in 2006. Wait a second. Oh, right. Okay, privately, internally at Tom Cruise's wedding. While attending Scientology member Tom Cruise's wedding to Katie Holmes in 2006, Remini noticed Shelley wasn't present, which the actress found odd considering her husband David was the best man. Seems fair. When Remini raised the question to wedding attendees, the guests didn't respond. She told people in 2015, "I kept asking throughout the night, does anybody know where Shelley is?" I have to say, it's funny how the way it's reported kind of gives you this picture that Leah's just like wandering around the wedding asking, "Where's Shelley? Does anyone know where Shelley is?" When in fact, she was asking the appropriate people who were there at the wedding. She wasn't just wandering around looking for Shelley. I don't know. Maybe is it just me? Does it read that way to you guys? That's just how it reads to me. All right, let's keep going. Remini turned to top church official Tommy Davis next, whom she claims replied, "I don't think you have the effing rank, quite honestly, to ask where Shelley is." It was a little bit shocking to hear that answer. That sort of sparked something in me. Davis denied saying that through his attorney, who told people this claim is an invention, adding that Davis and his wife, Jessica, a Scientology staffer who was also at the wedding, recall observing Miss Remini's repeated rude behavior, which became so blatant, it was a topic of dismayed discussion among other guests, including friends of Miss Remini. I find it interesting that the article doesn't actually specify that Tommy Davis has since divorced his wife, Jessica, completely abandoned the two children he had with Jessica, and is now remarried and has another child, all of which would be totally fine other than the abandonment of his children. In other words, what Tommy Davis did was he pulled a Tom Cruise. He completely abandoned his children. It doesn't mention that, but I guess people can be forgiven for not including those details. All right, let's keep going. Remini claimed that as a consequence of her questions, she was subsequently sent to a church facility in Clearwater, Florida, where she underwent a SEC check, a security check, truth rundown, and reprogramming. This allegedly involved intensive and exhaustive forms of interrogation that could last up to 12 hours a day. Leah Remini filed a missing persons report in 2013. 7 years later, Remini left the church. Just weeks after her exit, she filed a missing person report with the LAPD, which was ruled unfounded almost immediately. The LAPD stated that they met with Shelley and concluded there was not sufficient grounds to go through with the investigation. This is total horseshit. The article here is conflating things. Like, the investigation was following up on the missing persons report, like receiving a missing persons report that someone has not been seen or heard from in a long time, following up on it, making contact, and verifying that the person is alive is the investigation that was requested. Anyway, this is really lazy reporting. I'm a little disappointed. Okay, it says, Remini told people the police told her Shelley did not want to talk. She added that they refused to give her more information when she followed up. When I asked the officers, "Did you see her with your own eyes? Is she alive and safe?" the response was, "We cannot give you that information, ma'am," Remini said. "I still don't have an answer." The Church of Scientology released its own statement blasting Remini as a bitter ex-Scientologist and writing, Miss Remini also continues her bizarre efforts to harass the Church of Scientology's leader and his wife, whom Miss Remini has been obsessed with and has stalked for years. If you want to talk about obsession and stalking, just look at the activity the Church of Scientology puts out on its various Twitter accounts about Leah Remini pretty much 24/7. If that is the literal definition of obsession, being obsessed and stalking. It's downright creepy. All right, let's keep going. The question of what happened to Shelley is still raised in Hollywood. Okay, all of this is a little less interesting to me. There was a Scientology joke at the Golden Globes, which was funny, I will admit, but I don't want to read 3 paragraphs about it. The joke came a couple of months after Remini again raised the question of Shelley's whereabouts in light of an investigation about Corey Polka, captain of the Hollywood division of the LAPD, where she filed her report, and who allegedly provided confidential information to CBS executives. The LAPD responded with a statement that said, quote, the Missing Persons Unit handles adult missing cases throughout the city of Los Angeles and work out of LAPD's Detective Bureau. This case was not investigated by Hollywood Division personnel and had no involvement by retired LAPD Commander Corey Polka. All right, then. So, I mean, as far as Shelley Miscavige coverage goes, totally aside from the accuracy of various aspects of this reporting, I still think it's interesting and good and helpful and drives David Miscavige crazy that something like his missing wife is being given broad, wide coverage today. I just know it drives him absolutely insane. And the thing is, it's totally within David Miscavige's power to put this entire conversation to rest. He could just put out some silly Scientology promotional video about how great it is to be in Scientology's C organization, or how wonderful it is to work at Scientology Media Productions in Hollywood. And he could just have Shelley be one of the smiling faces sitting behind a desk or sitting in front of a camera, pretending to do some kind of a shoot. Anything. The fact that any reasonable person, if they were in David Miscavige's shoes, would do something just like that, and yet he doesn't, is what fuels the speculation that Shelley Miscavige is no longer alive. It fuels the speculation that if Shelley were to even be granted the freedom of showing her face anywhere, she would instantly bolt or escape or scream for help or fake some medical emergency. It is explanations. These are the explanations people come up with when they see David Miscavige continuing to neglect to do the simplest thing to put speculation about Shelley to rest. And anyway, I say all that just to drive it home that David Miscavige has no one to blame but himself for the fact that in 2023, major media platforms are still running articles about his wife being missing and never heard from since 2007. And until David Miscavige does anything to show like literal, irrefutable, present time proof of life for Shelley, articles like this are never going to go away. And that's totally okay with me. All right, everyone, that is all I have on this. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.